Welcome to Wellness Woodbridge. I'm your host, Ann Mazza from Vito Mazza Salon and Spa and Hair and Scalp Wellness. And today I have a very special guest in the studio with me. We're going to be talking about pancreatic cancer awareness. I have Jim O'Keefe. He's a wonderful, prominent member of our Woodbridge community. He owns AJS Photo Studios and event planning. And you do such a great job in the community, Jim. We're so excited to have you here to share your story today. And we'd just love to hear a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Ann. Thanks for having me on the program. Well, it's sad and tragic, but my wife and I last year were planning our 25th anniversary for May 1st this year, and she started to have a little bit of chest pressure, and she eventually was diagnosed not much longer in July, and she went through chemo, but it didn't work for her, and she passed away at home hospice in December 14th. Actually, tomorrow is 3 months.
Wow, Jim. So I'm very sorry for your loss. I know our whole community feels for you. As a matter of fact, I've seen you at so many events, and I didn't even know what you were going through personally.
I have people crying for me, and they give me a big hug, and I feel loved. That's fine. It's great.
You know what? You're a great person, and I think what you're doing today is such a wonderful wellness issue by bringing out, this awareness for pancreatic cancer. I also lost a very good friend, and she actually was diagnosed in November and passed in August from this dreadful disease. So we just are thankful for you sharing your story, and also for all the inspiration that you're going to share with us on how you've been able to function, since your loss, which for us is definitely a wellness issue. It's not easy to be bereaved and go through what you're going through. So share with us a little bit. So what have you done since that time?
Well, I want to first say that I thought that, seeing that Nancy was we both recognized that this was terminal, that we thought maybe she had years, but it was definitely going to be pancreatic cancer. So I thought I was prepared for her death, but even to the point that after she passed away and the funeral parlor took her away, we actually went out to dinner, and they said, we're coming back to the house with you, and I said, no, I'd rather be alone. Okay. Now, I had Nancy's minions living with me around the clock. That's what I call them. Oh. And my five children and 10 grandchildren visiting. We were able to celebrate Thanksgiving as kind of like a Christmas Thanksgiving. But anyway, even that night, I'm saying like 9 o'clock is like, this was a mistake because now everything is around that's Nancy, and it's now, what am I going to do? I'm going to get in the car and go visit one of my children. And of course, they would have been happy to see me. Right. But I realized that I really needed to get out of the house. So I went to the community center in January. Excellent. And signed up for the exercise programs, and I've been going there ever since. In fact, I had to explain to the instructor, her name is Debbie, that this is not a New Year's resolution. This is a new life thing that I want to. It helped me in many ways. First of all, of course, it gets me out of the house because these are evening exercise programs. Sure. The second thing is I've lost over 10 pounds. How wonderful. And I needed that, and I'm going to lose a lot more. And I realized how unfit I was, when I'm doing these programs. Well, and the truth is, even besides those, you just feel better.
It's true, and it's not easy when you're taking care of someone who is ill. Obviously, in that you're engulfed in caring about them and not so much yourself, so you go through that whole cycle.
During that time that I was her primary caregiver, only thing I really could do is eat and feel sorry for myself, In fact, I'd be eating and she couldn't eat. Right. That's part of what the cancer does, and particularly pancreatic cancer.
Well, I think also, in you taking care of yourself, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, you're doing all of those things by exercising and, going through this process that you're going through, and also, being an example of health and wellness, which I think is great, and plus you're fit, and you're going to be there for your children and your grandkids, which is huge.
Yep.
So what else have you done with taking this tragedy in your life? I know that I have a friend, obviously, and I shared that we've both been to this pancreatic cancer walk with this wonderful organization, PanCan. So do you want to tell us about your experience with that?
Well, first of all, we learned about PanCan, Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, you know, while we were being treated, and we found them, first of all, was on the phone, to be extremely helpful. They sent us big packets, checklists, nutrition, booklets, lots of booklets. They're available for a phone call.
So they gave you support while you were going through it. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and so realizing, honestly, I didn't really know what pancreas was before this diagnosis, and realizing that most people don't know about pancreatic cancer is so
it's an intricate body part, you know, with all the enzymes and all the different
pancreas,
things.
by the way, not from a medical answer, but is adjacent to your stomach, and it can affect your ability to digest food. So anything around the stomach that can give you trouble is reason to be concerned and go to the doctor.
Sure, and that's a valid point, Jim. You know, obviously as we get older in life, sometimes we have symptoms and we ignore them. Sometimes we're afraid to go to the doctor, and it's a point that we've brought up on this show multiple times, that if you have signs and symptoms that aren't going away, it's definitely time for you to go and have that checked out. Especially with pancreatic cancer, sometimes you're looking for something else, and then they find that. So early detection can be huge. So
I realized that a lot of people don't know about pancreatic cancer, and you know, the early detection is really important, and there really is not enough public knowledge about it. So if this was breast cancer or any other cancer, I felt as if it was well established. There's lots of people out there that are talking about it every day. Everybody knows what breast cancer is. So I decided that my life mission now is to get the word out and to tell people, and hopefully maybe I can save a life, you know, or two.
Absolutely. I think knowing the signs and symptoms is huge, and just being aware, you know, of what's going on in your body. That's right. And then, you know, creating awareness, and most importantly, I know that I was able to raise some money in my friend's memory, and I'm sure that you did the same for your beautiful wife. So in doing that, we're helping people with clinical trials, with early detection, with all of the things that need to be brought about with this organization.
Yes, in fact, in November, and this is coming up again, right? In November was the Purple Stride. Purple Stride. And thanks to all the people that were aware of Nancy's condition, we put together a team Nancy, naturally, and we collected over $1,000. Beautiful. And so I hope to be able to double that this coming year. That would be wonderful. Yeah, and it, you know, it's good for a good cause. Absolutely. We in November raised money at the salon, you know, for the cause, and I did the walk with my family as well. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day, celebrating amazing people, some who are still on their journey, and you know, others who in their memory their families came out and really shared, you know, that walk. What surprised me is it was hundreds of people there. Yes. And you know, so it was a purple sea, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, I did the walk, or, you know, kind of jogging, walking, and maybe 15-20 minutes, which anyway, it was closer to the beginning than the end. Very good. But boy, I could do a lot better this time. Yeah, well, now that you're, you know, moving ahead with your exercise over there at the community center, I'm sure that next year you'll be in the head of the group. Now, in June, there is Advocacy Day. Okay. In Washington, D.C., and I'm going to be joining them. That's wonderful. And I've never been to the Capitol, so it'll be kind of interesting for me. It's a 2-day thing, and I'll talk to whoever listens to me about, you know, we need to be serious about this. In fact, I was just reading in the pamphlet that they're concerned that the cases could be rising. Okay. Actually, even surpassing breast cancer. So this is serious. It's not just a few people being affected. This is this is becoming a really serious problem that we need to put some funding towards.
Absolutely, and raising awareness and surrounding yourself with people who are in your situation is only going to help,
Right.
So that you can help raise awareness and also, be with them on their journey, and they can help you, emotionally as you're still going through, your
Right.
loss. And
Right. I want to mention that there is a local support group, self-help group. It's associated with PanCAN, Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, and they meet in Morristown monthly. So I'm involved in that too. In fact, I was so glad to find this because I was insistent that there's going to be a local group, even if I had to create it. So thankfully, I don't have to create my own.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So Anne Marie is the leader of that, and we can put the information online.
Absolutely. Well, we will share all that information today with this show. We're also going to share some beautiful photos that you've brought with you.
Yep.
And I think just, raising that awareness and being part of all these groups, I'm very proud of you that you put yourself out there. I mean, you always do. I see you at every event that we go to in the community, how much you volunteer and give up your time. But it's great that you're doing this for this cause in general, because it's good for you emotionally, and it's good for all the people around you.
Yeah, I actually was doing some work for the Relay for Life.
Okay.
Right, and you probably know a little more about that. It's another cancer. Is that specifically? It's any cancer, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's photography for them, and just recently at the Elks, the Easter Bunny photos for Easter Bunny photos. Everybody got free prints, and of course it's my volunteer. I'm very happy to do it. It's very rewarding to give back, and
it is. I think that's what we're all here for, to be able to help other people.
Right.
And if we can do that, I think it helps us, feel good emotionally as well.
That's right.
And you do a great job. You took a great photo of me this year that I needed. You do great headshots.
Yeah.
You're very talented in all that you do, so it's great that you can donate your time.
Thank you, Ann.
So we have a lot to look forward to. We have a nice event that you're going to be doing. You said June, right?
Yeah, that's
And then you'll do again, put your group together in November.
Excuse me, I think it's in April. There is Purple Light. I'm surprised I even remember that. It's got those purple lights. Like, why is it called Purple Light? And it's at a camp. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the camp. And it's kind of like a way for people that are patients and caregivers to kind of meet and share ideas. Purple Light, and the reason it's Purple Light because they actually have glow lights that are purple.
How nice.
Yeah, kind of a remembrance.
And that would be children at the camp?
Yes, absolutely.
So wonderful.
So I'm
that's
volunteering
a great way.
on that too.
Oh, good. Excellent, Jim.
Yeah. I'm fortunate to be self-employed, and I can be flexible with my time.
Okay.
Of course, being self-employed means you're working all the time, but that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all right.
I understand that also.
Yeah.
It's wonderful that you can put yourself out there and continue to do, everything that you can do for this great cause.
Yeah.
And raising awareness, like we said, with clinical trials and all those things, will help this organization do more for people who are in the situation like your dear wife.
I want to mention some recognized early symptoms. Now, every one of these symptoms could be, again, I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
I have no medical training.
That's fine.
All right. A lot of things that I may say may not be
you're
everybody
a voice
agree
of
with.
experience.
Right.
We've had doctors on the show before who have shared more, intricate information.
Maybe more relevant is that Nancy had two of those, and forgive me, Nancy, for saying this, but one is diabetes, and the other one is being overweight.
Okay.
So she had both of those. Now, again, because she had those two things doesn't mean that you're a candidate. There's a lot of things but if you feel like what she started with was some discomfort here. She felt as if she had a large meal when she only had a little bit of food.
Okay.
And they started looking at it, and so if you feel any discomfort in your chest area, back pain, you definitely need to be your best advocate, and if you don't feel as if the doctor is really taking you seriously, because this is a serious disease that doesn't wait.
Yes.
Then see another doctor, and insist on what they feel would be the appropriate next test.
I know you shared that Nancy had some beautiful people around her who helped her.
The minions.
Yes. So that was a good experience for her as she went through this cancer.
Yeah, Nancy is a retired nurse.
Oh.
Labor delivery. In fact, she retired 3 years earlier. And when she realized how grave the diagnosis was, she immediately called my sisters and her daughter and son, and she says, you got to help Jim because he doesn't know how to deal with this stuff.
Oh.
Well, I learned how to do that.
See that?
But she gave me a head start because I would have been really reluctant to get my sister. My one sister is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I would have been very reluctant to call her and ask her to come all the way over here to help out. But they, of course, it turns out they were willing to change their schedules. My daughters, so
you do see all the love around you when you go through something.
I did, and of course the local community here.
And all her nurses and doctors also were a big help to you, right?
Yeah. Now, I have a sense of humor. I want to mention this.
Go ahead.
That Nancy Drum, the councilwoman, right? Of course, we know each other very well, and she called me up, and she, shortly after Nancy died, and she says that, why don't you come out to dinner with me? And I said, wait a minute. I just lost my wife. You're married and you want to go out to dinner with me. What's the paper going to say? Yeah. Colonial Corner will have a big caption. Councilwoman out with recently widowed.
That was nice. She's so sweet with a good heart. And you do need to go and put yourself out there. And you don't want to be alone every night.
No.
So when people call and offer, that's part of learning to be by yourself is to say yes. Say okay. I'll take you up on that offer. We have a friend that recently lost his wife, and Vito and I shared and took him out to dinner, and it was a beautiful evening, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Being there for the people that you love.
And I've learned, other thing I learned about this is that everybody knows somebody that had cancer.
Absolutely.
And as it wasn't uncommon to, like with you, Dan, that it's first person that you know. It isn't like you knew somebody who had pancreatic cancer.
No, she was a very close friend.
So what makes us special? It can hit anybody, and we just got to do the best we can to detect it early and to treat it. And there's lots of great treatment out there.
And the inspiring part is we could be saving lives. We could be helping people in the future to not have to go through maybe what Nancy did and what my friend Sharon did, and that is something to be so hopeful about.
Speaking of being hopeful, the last meeting I just went to last month, the local group, is that there's cancer survivors. And by the way, I understand the technical term for survivor is over 5 years.
Okay.
Right? And doesn't mean they lived 5 years in 1 month. It means they stopped even tracking how long they've been alive after that.
Exactly.
So there are cancer survivors. There are pancreatic cancer survivors.
Yes.
It's about early detection. And of course, follow-up treatment. There is a procedure called the Whipple procedure.
Yes.
Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying that
some
that's
people
a
are
way
candidate for it. Some people aren't. But it is. There are options. But again, early detection, signs and symptoms. Those are all things that we have to be aware of. And I think the more we raise awareness for these things, the more people will think about that. Just even having this conversation, might be helping someone raise awareness about something that they could be going through.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the symptoms, or can be a lot of other reasons. It can be simply just indigestion.
Sure. So
you have to be your best advocate, and you have to say, I can't be having indigestion for 3 weeks long.
Right.
It's time that, and Maalox isn't working, so maybe I'm gonna have the wrong doctor.
Exactly.
Or maybe just to say, I need testing.
Exactly.
Let the doctor decide what the testing should be, but there should be some testing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's wonderful that you're on this journey with your family too, and your kids have been supportive of you. That has to be a huge help. Will they do that walk with you in November again?
Oh yeah.
And the little ones
too. Get more people. Yeah.
Very good.
It'd be kind of fun to get the whole family. the 15 of them,
yes.
5 and 10, but obviously that would be a little hard to do. But it's actually, it was a nice day, and it's going to be another nice day. We're going to arrange that, right?
Yes.
And it's not a long walk, right? I think
it's like beautiful. You go around the whole loop, and it was beautifully inspiring. They had the music, and everyone's dressed up, and they really rally everybody, and they give you the T-shirts. And
so everybody, you can join Team Nancy or Vita Mazza.
Yes, well, we had Team My Sharona, but we did that in the salon to raise money also. So it was really, really, really fun, to be part of that and part of that inspiration. Really, it's like, how much time do we take to focus on a cause in our lives, unless it's really near and dear to our hearts? And I find it so inspiring, to sit and talk with people like yourself who can really put their heart and soul into it then and say, let's do something. Let's not just sit here and accept this for what it was, or the loss, or maybe even feel sorry for yourself. You're really taking it to the next level and saying, let me move forward in this, and let me help others in this. And I think that's the gift.
Yeah, it's fair to say we hate cancer, and anything we can do to fight that curse, we're going to do.
I know.
There was a book that I just listened to on tape. There's lots of books out there. Okay, in fact, that's another thing to do is listen to people. I like to use audiobooks because I'm in the car a lot. But this one, and it may sound inappropriate, but it's called people. I'm sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. Yeah. So anyway, you find inspiration with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's great, because you're able to listen to things that you feel like are true to your heart through this journey of bereavement. You need to do that. Yeah. And feel like you're understood by someone.
And
maybe
get
you feel
out of the house.
Absolutely.
And I've taken up other invitations. Nancy, not yet, but and had dinner. And one gentleman, he lost his wife several years ago.
Okay.
And so he talked about the whole bereavement part of it. And by the way, the hospice offered bereavement. Also.
Counseling.
Yeah, bereavement counseling.
Very, very good.
I took advantage of that. And you just can't be alone and kind of wallow in your.
Well, my friend who's just been through it, he's similar. He spends a lot of time with his family, but now he's traveling in an RV, just taking some time, and he's meeting people along the way. He certainly misses his life partner, but he's learning to be alone. And he said that to us. He said, I can't always rely on everyone around me. I have to learn that I'm going to be by myself sometimes.
That's true. I mean, around the evening, I said, well, I could call somebody, I can go over family at 9 o'clock at night, but I can't do that every night. Eventually, I'm going to have to learn to just be alone.
Yes.
And, so I adjusted. 90% of the time, I'm like, okay. And then there's that 10% is like, oh my God, I lost my wife, right? And, I was just mentioning this on Facebook that I couldn't remember how she made something.
Yes.
So, or where to get the Chinese. Where did you order the Chinese from?
Yes.
Fortunately, her daughter knew. It's like, I can't ask her. We can have a conversation, but
I know.
some things you just don't even think of asking.
No, you want to pick up the phone to call her probably to share whatever's going on in your day, and that's the hardest part, I think, is that you realize you have that constant reminder.
Yeah. Shortly afterwards, I wasn't taking any events myself personally. I have staff. But shortly afterwards, I was at an event, and I'm so used to texting her.
Yes.
And telling her, what's going on, and it's like, no, they don't need to text her anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was real hard.
Well, it's a new normal. It's a new normal for you, Jim, and I think you'll find that as you go through this, and you'll have to embrace the new normal for a little while. Right.
And people that have been, without their spouses for years, or any loved one, they tell me you're never totally over it. If you think about it, you're going to get sad, but you got to kind of move on. Actually, I just listened to Dr. Ruth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she kind of tells her story that she was actually in a concentration camp.
Okay.
Yeah. No, she escaped. But she was living in Australia, no, Switzerland.
Okay.
Switzerland, but they weren't treating her very well. But the point is, she overcame all that, and she has very sad memories of the last time she saw her parents.
Sure.
You know, because they sent her away in time. And she says that, you know, it's okay to remember, but then you have to change, you know, your outlook and think of positive things.
Absolutely.
In fact, she uses this French term, and I wish I could, but basically, joy of life.
Yes.
And so I recommend that book.
Well, that's wonderful.
It was very
Jim.
inspiring.
It's great that you're doing that, and you are an inspiration to us from being here today and sharing your story.
Yeah.
I know it's not easy to do. It's still, you know, very raw for you. I mean, you've only been through this a few months, but I'm so impressed, and you're really an inspiration to all of us to see how you're handling this bereavement. So thank you for bringing awareness to this disease, and thank you for all you're doing to help people in the future with it, and all that you're doing to volunteer with it. And I wish you so much well, you know, with November and with June and all the great events that you have planned, you know, to keep going.
Right. So, you know, I really appreciate people considering donating to the pancan.org.
Excellent.
Or pancan.com. Sorry, we'll put it up there. And you know, if you can't participate in the walks, you can always make a donation.
Yes.
I don't care who the donation's for. You can start your own team. It doesn't matter. The money goes to the association.
It's going to a great cause.
And please be your best advocate for treatment, and likely if you're watching this, it won't be you, it'll be some loved one. So you got to say to them, no, it's not okay. You know, don't say, oh, well, I'll worry about it next week. You know, see the doctor right away. Yeah, because it won't. You know, this disease doesn't
wait.
Right. Yep.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate you sharing your story again today. And thank you for joining us on Wellness Woodbridge, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.